Well, for our second last night in Namibia, it was one of our best. Spitskoppe is actually a really beautiful spot. The facilities are very basic, but it's so spectacular. It's well worth coming and visiting. And I think this will be a starting place for us for any of our further adventures up into Namibia in the future. But now it's time to begin our next chapter on this journey, making our way through to Botswana. We don't have the greatest drive today. It's quite long. We've got no idea what to expect along the way. It's a stressful time crossing over into the next country, but I think once we're there, we can then settle down in Botswana and really enjoy it for the next few days until we make our way back home. But so far, this has been a world-class adventure.
Saying goodbye to Spitskoppe would be difficult, but we had a 6-hour drive ahead of us and we had to get going. We would be heading towards the capital city of Windhoek and making our way to a little campsite on the border of Namibia and Botswana. This series of Rome Overlanding is presented in partnership with Garmin and supported by cross-country insurance consultants, Bushtec aluminium canopies, Jackery South Africa, and Easyone. I like to think that as overlanders, we're generally pretty nice people. And we had met Mark at our campsite in Swakopmund. When we saw him on the side of the road, we had to turn around and give him a hand. We can all change our tires on our own, but sometimes, in the moment, it doesn't hurt to have a helping hand. After all, many hands make a light work. We also got to chat and get some useful information about the road ahead and a couple of recommendations for our transit to Botswana.
We've had a pretty long day of driving. We're here now, we're managing to catch up on doing some laundry, getting ourselves sorted while we wait for our COVID test to come through. We've gotten one through so far. Rolfie, he's tested negative for COVID, so that's good news. We're just waiting for all the others to come through. If everything comes through by tomorrow morning, we can get out here nice and early and cross over into Botswana. If not, then we play the waiting game until everyone's got their results and then we can move through. But yeah, it's added a pretty stressful tinge to the trip. You know, have we gotten COVID? Do we have to quarantine? You know, all of these little extra layers of stress that kind of add up. Are we getting to our next place? I've tried to not book anything guaranteed in Botswana for that very reason, just in case something goes wrong. So it's a lot of things are up in the air with the travel at the moment. But so far, because we've been traveling out of the peak season, everywhere's been available, everywhere's had room for us, everywhere's been accommodating, everyone's been understanding, and it does seem like there's just a different sense of community around the travel industry at the moment. But I must say, I'm excited for Botswana. I'm excited to see new landscapes and different things. I'm excited to see parts of the country that I haven't seen before, and I haven't been there in a good couple years, so it's going to be nice to get back to Botswana. I really hope we're going to see some places that are familiar, we're going to see some places that are new, so it's really an exciting chapter moving forward. Anyways, we're going to continue with our little camp chores here, get everything done and dusted, and get ourselves ready to cross over into Botswana tomorrow. Let's go, Andy, to Botswana. Well, that's the Maun border post. Done and dusted. Now we have a long journey to Maun ahead of us, so the stress of the border crossing is now over.
The border crossing might be over, but we still had a massive day ahead of us, and according to the Garmin, we were probably going to be rolling into camp in the dark. We had to cover over 500 kilometers today to get to the drifters camp just outside Maun. Traveling on the roads in Botswana can be slow going. Just as you get to speed, you're slowing down for goats, cattle or donkeys. And these are roads you really don't want to be driving on in the dark. So we decided to push through, just with a quick lunch stop before heading into the town of Nxai to resupply. But with some delays around getting new SIM cards for Botswana, we were now really starting to cut it close, and we did not have much time to dawdle in Maun.
Well, welcome to Maun. Let's just find ourselves a little petrol station quick somewhere, hopefully on the way out. Quickly put in some fuel and then we can get to camp and set up hopefully before it's too dark.
Here we were in the gateway to the Okavango Delta. I really wish we weren't so precious for time, but we had places to be and things to see. We arrived at the drifters camp just as the sunlight was fading. We were exhausted and ready to relax and have some dinner.
It's been a long one today. Yeah. To a long, our longest day yet in time.
That was wild. That was a wild day.
Cheers.
Cheers. So this is a much more appropriate place to talk about Botswana, right here on the Boteti River. We're gonna take it slow today. We're gonna hang around the camp, we're gonna make some breakfast, we're gonna just kind of recharge after the long day we had yesterday. We don't have a very long drive to our next destination. I think it's about 100 k's to the Nxai Pan National Park, and then from there on it is maybe an hour and 40 minutes or so drive towards Baines Baobabs, where we'll be staying tonight. So I think it's going to be quite a nice day. I think really just soak in the scenery here a little bit. I think with Botswana, you know, you drive along the main roads and you just see all the thick bush next to you, and you don't know what's hiding just behind that bush. So today we're going to be enjoying this, heading to Nxai Pan National Park and seeing Baines Baobabs. It's a big first for me. Anyways, let's go make some nice breakfast and get going with the day.
What a spot to wake up in. We were feeling recharged and ready to go. We decided to skip breakfast and actually head into Maun, where we could pay for our fees for camping at Baines Baobabs and pop in at the Wimpy for a cheeky breakfast before getting back on the road towards the Nxai Pan National Park. Today was sure to be full of adventure. What is special about Baines Baobabs is that there are only 3 campsites, so we were lucky traveling out of season that we could actually get a spot, but it wasn't going to be cheap.
So this is going to be our most expensive campsite by far. This is almost over 3,000 Rand for one night of camping for us. So this better be worth it. I'm actually quite surprised how expensive camping in the national parks really is here in Botswana.
Yeah, it was a bit of a shock for me as well, but I guess let's go see it and we'll see if it's worth the money and worth the hype.
No, absolutely. Look, it's one of those things, you're going to tick it off the bucket list once, you're going to cry, you're going to pay, but hopefully it is going to be one hell of an experience.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Here at the entry gate, it's pretty much the same as the one at the Central Kalahari. So we're lowering the tires down nice and low. The roads are rutty, it's thick sand, So we've got not a really long drive ahead of us, but you never know what can happen in these environments. So it's nice to give yourself a lot of extra time. We can get to our campsite, we can go and check out Baines Baobabs. We've got a really, really stunning afternoon ahead of us. Well, we've got some firewood, tire pressures are down, permits are paid, let's go. This road is horrible going in here. The corrugations are really bad. Really, really bad. Both of the vehicles are having a fun time here. You almost wish the sand is a little bit thicker, just so you can have that nice, smooth, soft sand ride.
Where's your baobabs? I don't see any baobabs. I don't believe we're going to Baines Baobabs.
Well, the GPS says that all roads lead to Baines Baobab, so hopefully we're not far. We need is a few baobabs that will all be worth it.
I'm hoping so. Look at those baobabs in the middle of open savanna. What a sight!
We worked our way closer and closer to the iconic Baines Baobabs, an ancient collection of giants that dwarfed our vehicles, and we just had to take a closer look.
Here we are, Baines Baobabs. What a beautiful spot. It's really quite something to actually walk amongst these baobabs. They are incredibly big and probably incredibly old. It's really, really stunning. But it's also good to be back out on the pans again. But first things first, we need to actually get back to our little campsite there and just see where we're gonna camp, where we're gonna set up, get our bearings right. Let's get going. It is sweltering.
We were so excited to be camping at campsite number 1, right opposite Baines. However, when we arrived, we were crushed. People were already camping there, and it seemed like the park administration had double booked the campsite. So we were forced to head back out onto the pans in hopes that campsite 3 was not occupied. Fortunately, I think they swapped our booking between campsite 1 and 3, so we arrived to a beautiful, empty campsite. This is pretty epic. We weren't gonna let a small clerical error upset our time at the Nxai Pan National Park. Now we were all set up for an incredible evening. We watched as the sun set over the pans and enjoyed a beautiful meal under the stars. This was surely going to be one of our best nights yet.
So we got woken up by quite a lot of wind just out of the middle of nowhere at 2 o'clock in the morning. And then it started drizzling and raining and stuff a little bit. So we decided rather than sitting around and waiting for the rain to get worse, we packed up our camp and we're just driving somewhere where if it rains, it doesn't matter. And then we'll hang out there for a couple hours until sunrise, and then we'll make our way on our journey. But yeah, we're quite far along the pan, into the pan at a campsite 3, so we didn't really want to risk it. It's not worth it, and we're not going to get a good night's sleep anyway, worrying about the rain and worrying about the wind. So it's better we just get in the car, make the decision, and just drive to go and see what's happening.
Did you check that lightning strike to the left of us?
That was huge lightning. Whatever, but yeah, I think, yeah, this is pretty disruptive sleep. I'm pretty exhausted, to be honest. I think let's just get to a big town and get some information of, you know, what to do.
I think I'm with you on that 100%.
We've decided to stop, make a bit of coffee, get ourselves just together, have a bit of a game plan for what we're going to do today. As you can see, it's still raining. I really want to go back to Khubu Island. I feel like the last time I came to Botswana, I didn't get to camp properly at Khubu Island, and it's still something that I want to tick off my bucket list. So yeah, let's just see how it goes. I don't know how much we're going to film or how much we're going to do today, so the rest of the day is a bit of a mystery, but we'll give it a go. I'm not holding onto the steering wheel, I'm just letting the car turn itself.
After an unexpected change of plans, we were glad we made the cautious decision. We then decided to do the exact opposite and throw caution to the wind by driving to the town of Gwetta and taking the adventurous route to Khubu Island. If there was ever a day on this trip that would test us, it would probably be this one. We didn't know much about what lay ahead, but we knew there'd be thick sand and that we needed to cross 2 massive salt pans. But what we didn't account for was the fact that the road hadn't been driven much since COVID hit, and the bush had actually grown in on most of the tracks, which at its best of times were completely unclear and crisscrossed each other all the time. The paths kept splitting into different veins, and the GPS was struggling to keep up with it all.
There's a road parallel to this, I think, that probably also leads there. I'm just going to keep going along this because it seems to be leading in the right direction.
This route is not for the faint-hearted. You are completely in the middle of nowhere out here, and you cannot turn around very easily. The dry mapani trees fallen over are just waiting to puncture your tires. We had our doubts, and we had some new scratches on the paint, but this is what it's all about, taking the path less traveled.
Oh, great. What does that arrow mean?
The green Kubu markers were small glimmers of hope that we were heading in the right direction.
I've never experienced so much adventure in such a short space of time.
As the veld opened up around us, it introduced us to a new set of challenges.
Okay, there is a bit of moisture on the pan, so just don't stop.
This is what we came here to do, eh?
Now the mud tires are doing their job.
The path kept weaving us through stretches of pan and then grasslands, followed by narrow bush tracks, wave after wave. But we hadn't stopped all day and were desperate for a meal. The sun out here is really harsh, and it was fantastic to hide under the awning while we put together a meal out of our leftovers from the night before. We were ready to tackle the next big pan, and by now we had learned to embrace it all. The barren salt pans, the tight bush trails, the ditches filled with soft powdery dust, and the looming silhouette of Khubu Island in the distance was part of it all, and it made this drive an epic adventure. We were getting close now, and I was finally about to have my first night of camping at Khubu Island.
We've arrived at Khubu Island. This is our final destination for the trip, and it has been an absolutely wild journey getting here today. Difficult today. Testing you mentally
It was 100
and
k's
physically.
of bush tracks.
Yeah, no, it was
100 kilometers of bush tracks, and not easy bush tracks.
no.
But the vehicles performed like monsters.
They really did. They really did. The only thing that came loose was the firewood.
Touch wood, nothing came loose of it.
No, beautiful.
But the salt pans was a bit of a curveball
An experience, huh?
to drive on a wet salt pan. Let's hope the car lasts 10 years now.
No, it'll be fine. It'll be fine, man.
But yeah, no, that was flap it.
Beautiful, huh?
I don't think we could have planned the day better. Even with all the unexpected changes, our ability to act quick and work as a team meant we could be here right now with the sun painting its golden light over Kubu and enjoy it. This is what the dream of overlanding is made of. Days like these, overcoming challenges and getting to really test your relationships with your friends and family.
Ah, Kubu! Look at these fail things. Why is mine dirtier than yours?
Because you're a hooligan.
No, you're a hooligan in front of me. It looks so good dirty though, I love it.
We had the last few little things to set up around our camp, but I knew that tonight would not only be about enjoying the evening, but it would also be about reminiscing of the adventure we've all had together. The amazing places we've seen, the food we ate along the way, and just how incredible these vehicles have been as our homes on this journey. If I think of the men that got out of these vehicles on our first night in Uppington, to the men that sit around this campfire tonight, every single one of us has had something change within us, and have had something awakened. Overlanding is not just an adventure. It's not just camping and 4x4 equipment. It's about the feeling it gives you. A feeling you can't even get from watching this show, but that you need to go out there and earn and savor.
This has been a spectacular trip. We've traversed the south of Namibia, we've gone across Botswana, we've spent some real quality time with myself with my father, Rolf with his dad, time with Andy, my uncle, who's been behind the camera the whole time and done such a great job. Everyone has really come together and we've built such a great little team. We've been setting up and breaking down our camp so beautifully. We've been having and cooking amazing meals. It's been such an experience of a lifetime. And that's all possible thanks to the sponsors who came on board for this trip, and they really came on board in a big way and made all of this possible. So I just want to personally say thank you so much to the sponsors, Garmin, Easy On, Bush Tech, Cross Country, Jackery. You guys are amazing, your products are incredible, and none of them skipped a beat on this trip. And I must say, you know, after having the vehicle immobile for months, to still have these companies support me on, you know, such a big trip like this really means the world to me. And it really shows the quality of the companies. But yeah, this is it. This is the end of the series. This is where it all kind of comes to an end. And we go back now, and I go and I work on the films that you've already watched and work on the photographs and everything. And I'm excited to do that. I really am. We've been through some really epic situations, and I'm really excited to piece it all together. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching along on this series, and I will see you on the next adventure, wherever that might be.
We have some really exciting adventures ahead of us, so make sure to subscribe so you stay on top of all the upcoming episodes, or you can even join Patreon for early access to the upcoming series. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you on the next adventure.